The Native Americans are a diverse range of people consisting of many different First Nations inhabiting the North Americas. Although each First Nation has their own unique culture and beliefs, a common underlying thread of Native American philosophy is respect for nature and all living beings, as well as a strong belief in prayer and reverence for the Great Spirit or Great Mystery, the creator of this world and all its inhabitants. Dr. Charles Alexander Eastman, or Ohiesa, was a Santee Sioux. He was raised by his grandmother and uncle in the ways of the Sioux First Nation, and there was taught the traditions, stories, and beliefs of their people since time immemorial. As an adolescent, he attended school, and as a young man, attended Boston University Medical School and was one of the first Native American certified doctors. In order to help his people, he worked as a reservation physician, tirelessly caring for the wounded, injured, and ill. During this time, he saw the need for improvement of the conditions of Native American people. Later, he co-founded and was president of the Society of American Indians, which was formed to address Native American rights. Dr. Charles Alexander Eastman, or Ohiesa, believed that the understanding of Native American values and preservation of their identity would be beneficial to society as a whole. Later, he became an author and lecturer, using his deep knowledge on the ways of the Sioux as well as his understanding of modern society to educate the public on the contributions of First Nation people to American culture and civilization. During his lifetime, he wrote 11 books. Some have been used in school curriculums, and some have been translated into many other languages for all to enjoy. He is considered one of the most prolific authors and speakers on Sioux ethnohistory and American Indian affairs of the early 20th century. Today, we are blessed to present to you the Great Mystery from the book The Soul of the Indian, an interpretation by Charles Alexander Eastman, Ohiesa. The Great Mystery. The original attitude of the American Indian toward the eternal, the great mystery that surrounds and embraces us, was as simple as it was exalted. To him, it was the supreme conception, bringing with it the fullest measure of joy and satisfaction possible in this life. The worship of the great mystery was silent, solitary, free from all self-seeking. It was silent because all speech is of necessity, feeble and imperfect. Therefore, the souls of my ancestors ascended to God in wordless adoration. It was solitary because they believed that He is nearer to us in solitude, and there were no priests authorized to come between a man and his Maker. None might exhort or confess or in any way meddle with the religious experience of another. Among us, all men were created sons of God and stood erect as conscious of their divinity. Our faith might not be formulated in creeds, nor forced upon any who were unwilling to receive it. Hence, there was no preaching, proselyting, nor persecution, neither were there any scoffers or atheists. There were no temples or shrines among us save those of nature. Being a natural man, the Indian was intensely poetical. He would deem it sacrilege to build a house for him who may be met face to face in the mysterious, shadowy aisles of the primeval forest, or on the sunlit bosom of virgin prairies, upon dizzy spires and pinnacles of naked rock, and yonder in the jeweled vault of the night sky. He who enrobes himself in filmy veils of cloud, there on the rim of the visible world where our great-grandfather's sun kindles his evening campfire, he who rides upon the rigorous wind of the north, or breathes forth his spirit upon aromatic southern airs, whose canoe is launched upon majestic rivers and inland seas, he needs no lesser cathedral, That solitary communion with the unseen, which was the highest expression of our religious life, is partly described in the word bombade, literally mysterious feeling, which has been variously translated fasting and dreaming. It may better be interpreted as consciousness of the divine. The Native American religion forbade the accumulation of wealth and the enjoyment of luxury. To him, as to other single-minded men in every age and race, from Diogenes to the brothers of St. Francis, from the Montanists to the Shakers, the love of possessions has appeared a snare, and the burdens of a complex society a source of needless peril and temptation. Furthermore, it was the rule of his life to share the fruits of his skill and success with his less fortunate brothers. Thus, he kept his spirit free from the clog of pride, cupidity, or envy, and carried out, as he believed, the divine decree, a matter profoundly important to him. It was not, then, wholly from ignorance or improvidence that he failed to establish permanent towns and to develop a material civilization. To the untutored sage, the concentration of population was the prolific mother of all evils, moral no less than physical. He argued that food is good while surfeit kills, that love is good but lust destroys, and not less dreaded than the pestilence following upon crowded and unsanitary dwellings was the loss of spiritual power inseparable from too close contact with one's fellow men. All who have lived much out of doors know that there is a magnetic and nervous force that accumulates in solitude and that is quickly dissipated by life in a crowd. The red man divided mind into two parts, the spiritual mind and the physical mind. The first is pure spirit, concerned only with the essence of things, and it was this he sought to strengthen by spiritual prayer, during which the body is subdued by fasting and hardship. In this type of prayer, there was no beseeching of favor or help. All matters of personal or selfish concern were recognized as emanating from the physical self. The rites of this physical worship, again, were wholly symbolic, and the Indian no more worshiped the sun than the Christian adores the cross. The sun and the earth, by an obvious parable holding scarcely more of poetic metaphor than of scientific truth, were in his view the parents of all organic life. From the sun, as the universal father, proceeds the quickening principle in nature, and in the patient and fruitful womb of our mother, the earth, are hidden embryos of plants and men. Therefore, our reverence and love for them was really an imaginative extension of our love for our immediate parents, and with this sentiment of filial piety was joined a willingness to appeal to them as to a father. For such good gifts as we may desire, this is the material of physical prayer. The elements and majestic forces in nature, lightning, wind, water, fire, and frost, were regarded with awe as spiritual powers, but always secondary and intermediate in character. We believed that the Spirit pervades all creation and that every creature possesses a soul. The tree, the waterfall, the grizzly bear, each is an embodied force and as such, an object of reverence. The Indian loved to come into sympathy and spiritual communion with his brothers of the animal kingdom, whose inarticulate souls had for him something of the sinless purity that we attribute to the innocent and irresponsible child. He had faith in their instincts as in a mysterious wisdom given from above. For more information, please visit Gutenberg.org. Loving viewers, We are so glad that you could join us today for Words of Wisdom.